Hello, and welcome to our virtual CIA meeting to give you updates from math, language arts, and social studies for the 2017-2018 school year. In this presentation, we're going to talk about updates to English language arts, including updates to the curriculum maps, our writing, since so many of you asked for updates to writing, assessments. We'll also talk about some math updates because there are new standards in math, which means there are lots of new units and some big changes there. And finally, some updates to social studies and to updating those assessments. So let's begin with English language arts. Last year for Start Smart, we required all people to do Start Smart and to use it for the full amount of time. Based upon your feedback, we have made some adjustments to that. First of all, because we're not all brand new to it. And second of all, because it really seemed to work for some grades more than others. So here is what the English Language Arts Task Force has come up with based upon your feedback. In kindergarten, you will have your 4 days of kindergarten discovery, followed by 2 weeks of Start Smart, which means that you will start Unit 1, Week 1, September 11th. In grades 1 and 2, you have those first 2 days of school, Thursday and Friday, which basically don't count as far as Start Smart goes, plus 2 weeks. And you'll start Unit 1, Week 1 on September 5th when we come back from Labor Day. And finally, grades 3 through 5, you have those same 2 days, Thursday and Friday, plus 1 week to get started. And we'll start Unit 1, Week 1 on August 28th. During this 1 week or 2 weeks, depending on your grade level, you can choose to use materials from Start Smart and or your own routines. Many teachers felt like they wanted to use this time to set up their routines for small group time. They wanted to use it to set up their routines for independent work, and you can certainly do that. We would recommend some hybrid of taking some of those activities and review and so forth from Start Smart and what your kids are coming in with last year, and combining that up with some of your own things. And basically you have the freedom to kind of make this your own for this amount of time. The point of getting everyone to start on the same Unit 1, Week 1 at the same time is so that as our students go through the school year and they're moving from school to school, we can really keep them in the same place, and we can really support you better. Next, pacing. Overwhelmingly, people said they did not have enough time to do all of the things that were being asked. Overwhelmingly, people said that they couldn't get to all of the lessons and that it went too quick. We highly recommended last year a 6-day week. This year, we're saying everybody do a 6-day week for weeks 1 through 5. That way you can choose how to divide your content heavy day. In some grade levels, the content heavy day is Monday, and so you might choose to take those Monday introductory lessons and split them over the course of 2 days. In some grade levels, Wednesday, because of the very long literature reading, tends to be the heavy day, and you could easily take Wednesday and split it into 2 days. The point is that you truly do have 6 days to do instruction, and you truly have 6 days to really get at what your students need. There is an easy way to have your calendar in Wonders do this for you, and the instructional coaches and the task force members in your building would be happy to support you with this. The other major change that we are making is a 5-day week for week 6. Last year, week 6 was 2 days long, and this provided you a little bit of a breath, but it really didn't provide you with much time for reteaching, didn't provide you an opportunity to really sum things up. So we are now recommending a 5-day week for week 6. This will allow you 2 to 3 days for the unit assessment. I will talk about that shortly as we talk about assessments. And it would allow you 2 to 3 days for teacher choice of those week 6 activities. So it might look like half of the unit assessment on Monday, the other half on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we do some reader's theater and maybe some inquiry-based things. Or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm doing my unit assessment, and then I have 2 days for activities. However you want to divide that up is up to you, but you really have that week to to reteach, to assess, to do the things that you need to do. We have paced this out on actual calendars in Wonders, and you will be able to get all the way through Unit 5 by the end of the year. And remember, that is our goal, Units 1 through 5. We're not touching Unit 6, which is fine because it is review. So speaking of assessments, there are some changes. Again, major feedback from all of you, which is wonderful. We needed to hear that. Reminding you, last year we said we took our best guess of what would be good assessments, what would give us the information we need. We then took your feedback, we took our experiences and put them together and have come up with some new guidelines for assessment for the 17-18 school year. First of all, when thinking about those beginning of the year diagnostics and what they tell us, we really narrowed that down, and we looked at really the ones that worked the best. Overwhelmingly, people were not positive about the McLeod assessment here, or about the metacognition. So if you liked them, if you felt like it gave you information, you can use it if needed. But really, the only comprehension test that is required is this basic comprehension test. The only other one that's required for most grades 2 through 5, I'll just talk about those first since they're the simplest, is the oral reading fluency. So between those two, grades 2 through 5, those are really your only two assessments that you're required to give for that beginning of the year placement. The other ones are all, as you can see, if needed. First grade kind of has a strategy for helping you to get started, and that is explained down here where it says first grade notes. If you're a first grade teacher, I'll let you read that, but as you can see, many fewer assessments and a lot more choice where you might only be giving it to some based upon how they do on others. Kindergarten, the same thing. Remember that you'll start with that phonological awareness subtest. If kids pass that, then you move on to the next subtest. If they don't pass it, then you don't move on. And they really do go chronologically here from phonological to phonemic to letter naming to sight word. Obviously, if my kid can't do phonological, I'm not even going to attempt the phonemic. Let's say they do phonological just fine. They don't perform well on phonemic. I'm not going to go on to letter naming. I only go on if they perform well. And that just lets me know kind of where that kid is coming in. So diagnostics really haven't changed much other than there's fewer of them. Kindergarten assessments really haven't changed much, mostly because there's just not that many choices. You do that end of unit assessment every 3 weeks. Here's a big change. The Wonders weekly assessments, we have decided, based upon a lot of feedback from over 200 teachers, that the weekly assessments were too frequent, not necessarily informative, and really cut into your instructional time. As a result, we have decided that this upcoming year, we will not require the weekly assessments. If you need to do a weekly assessment to get formative information about your students, you are always welcome to do so. If you want to give half of the weekly assessment in order to get formative information about your student, you are welcome to do so. However, we're not requiring, again, the weekly assessment. What this means is during that 6-day week, you really have the opportunity to teach for 6 days. We're hoping that this gives you enough time to really teach and teach well those things that you need to do. So since you're not doing the weekly assessments, we had many teachers who tried out the unit assessments instead and were really very positive about them. Felt like it gave them more information, felt like it covered vocabulary and grammar and comprehension and a more well-rounded approach than the weekly assessment. Just gave them better information overall. They are longer assessments, and so those will be chunked into multiple days, which is again why we have that five-day week 6. There are some notes here at the bottom, and then there are some notes about spelling tests. Remember that spelling tests are optional for all grades. Be sure that you read this very carefully. So now that we've looked at assessments, including those diagnostics and unit assessments, make sure that you really look at that document carefully. Read through those notes, especially you first grade teachers. If you have questions, send them along. One of the things that the task force did this summer was they really looked at how can we narrow our focus? How can we help people choose the things out of wonders that are the most important to teach? And what we've been able to come up with through the help from Marzano's Learning Sciences is a one-page list of learning goals for every single grade level. What's really nice about this is that you can easily print these pages and give them to parents. Older grades, you could actually share them with students. And basically, this is saying, this is what your child is going to be able to do by the end of this year. This is what we're learning in language arts this year. If you click on this link, and you will, of course, get this slideshow with all of the links, it will take you to a folder that shows you the goals for every grade level. Let's pretend I'm a third grade teacher. I just click on the grade 3. And here it is. This one page of goals is what my students need to be able to do by the end of the year. These goals are taken directly from our standards, directly aligned. We've matched them up to our curriculum maps, and we've matched them up to wonders. What's really great is a quick summary to know, yes, I'm working on the right things. When I think about what do I need to intervene on during wind time, when I think about where should I extend, when I think about what are the critical things that my students need to know to move on to the next year, this is a quick one-page reference that will help me to know those things. So we use that list along with the scales from Marzano, and we're not using the scales yet. We're still working on that. That's upcoming. And we use them to help us revise our curriculum maps. We updated, focused, and prioritized those standards. We worked on a K-12 alignment so that everything flows from kindergarten through 12th grade. We added goals to all of the units, and we have completed Unit 1 in Curricuplan with the goals, skills, assessments, notes, resources. We've told you what pages to skip, what pages not to skip, even though it's non-core. We have put in there what are critical lessons. And so we really hope that this is useful to you. So if I go to the curriculum map, and I have one pulled up here, this is 4th grade. If I look at Unit 1 in 4th grade, and you'll notice that this matches your book, we have the goals. Here are the skills that you're working on. But perhaps most importantly for you are these columns over here. In these columns, it tells you when the unit begins, what kind of writing you're doing, which weeks, and perhaps most importantly, what not to skip, even though it's non-core. You need to pick up these 2 lessons because they're part of getting at our skill and they're part of getting at our standards and our goals. And then what is in the core, but you should skip it anyway. Don't do those things. These critical lessons are lessons that get directly at our goals, get directly at our Nebraska and Common Core standards. They're the ones that are really critical. If I give a light touch to something else in the week, that's fine, but I'm not going to give a light touch to these lessons. These are the lessons that are really critical for my students to know and understand. And that goes on for every week throughout the unit to know what not to skip, what to go ahead and is safe to skip, and what are those really critical lessons. These notes and this column will hopefully help you to make some choices and to give you confidence in knowing that you're selecting the right things for our students. Now, you will notice that Unit 1 is done, but, oh, and this group has actually started on Unit 2, but they haven't finished it yet. Unit 3, again, a start, but not finish. As we go through the year, the task force is going to come back together and build out all of these units so that you have what you need to teach as you need to teach them. Speaking of writing, one of the things we received the most feedback about was writing and making that decision about when to teach TDA, when to teach the genre, how to balance those two, and basically more guidance. overwhelmingly, people asked for more guidance. The task force took your advice to heart, and they have put together guidance for which types of writing to do during which weeks of the unit. Part of this was selected so that you were hitting the right genres that matched our Nebraska standards. Part of it was so that we made sure that we were getting the best TDA prompts during the unit. In every grade level, you can see there are weeks to do TDA and weeks to do the genre. There is also a genre or something that you're probably going to be skipping. In every grade level, there is at least one formal research presentation. This is the one time where students will put together a formal research project and then present it to the class. Of course, students can present to the class at any time, and kids should always be getting up and talking in front of their peers. But this is the one time we can guarantee in every grade level that kids will be getting up and giving a formal speech or presentation. This meets our Nebraska standards for speaking and listening. So what's on the horizon for ELA? We will complete the rest of the units. We'll continue to revise and edit those units. And we're going to have lots of communication and professional learning, both sharing in staff meetings, putting out small videos every week in the blog, offering teacher seminars. We're putting together some Wonders professional learning classes and study groups, and some WonderWorks groups, so that those of you who are teaching interventions have that support. We're also providing extra training every month for your instructional coaches so they can come back to the buildings and support you. We know we're still in transitions with Wonders. We hope that this year will go even better for you. And as I always say, by year 3, we're going to be amazing. Mathematics. So there are new standards in math, and the test formerly known as NISA has now been updated, and there are new units, therefore. The updates do vary quite a bit by grade level. Some grade levels had more changes to their standards than other grade levels. This link will take you to a folder with updates for every grade. If I'm a 3rd grade teacher, I can simply open this up, and it will tell me how the units have changed, what they've erased, what they have combined, those guiding documents, lots and lots of information, and perhaps most importantly, down here at the bottom, feedback, questions, and so forth to your reps that can help you to know and navigate these things. The tests have changed, the assessments are changed, the scores have changed. There's a lot of changes in math. Really study your curriculum plan maps carefully. Contact your reps in each building or your grade level if you have questions. Cindy Beeman, who is our K-12 math curriculum coordinator, would also be more than happy to answer your questions and provide assistance. We think that you will find that although there are many changes, that you will really like some of these changes, and it will help you to get to the most important things that our students are going to be facing on the state test, and perhaps more importantly, what they really need to know to move on to the next grade level. Social Studies has updated the answer keys on all of their assessments. So make sure that you discard those answer keys from previous years. Obviously, when the year changes, things like timeline math changes, and we have a new president, so there are new answers and new pictures. So be sure that you're looking at those carefully and not just using the same ones from previous years. Make sure that you have the 2017-2018 Social Studies Essential Map favorited. This is the one that will have all those changes. If you try to go to the old map, you won't find it, so you need to look for the one that is for the 2017-2018 school year. Grade 4 has had a lot of changes, in part because there are so many resources, and you have new student atlases. There has been a lot of updates to your resources tab and to your resources column because of those atlases. And then in kindergarten, you actually have an update, a document that has all of your updates. Those are probably the 2 grade levels with the most changes. All right, to finish up, please remember that there is the 4-point conversion chart, which can be accessed with this link that you can use for any time that you are trying to convert a rubric for use for grading purposes. Please reach out to all of these helpful people if you need assistance at any time. I'm Dr. Amy Mancini, and I am your main contact for language arts and social studies. Mrs. Katie Ramsey is your main science contact. Mrs. Cindy Beeman would be happy to answer your questions about math. Mrs. Barb Hardwick is our teaching and learning secretary, and she is your contact for textbooks and materials requests, anything that would come out of the warehouse. Barb is your person. And please, please, please reach out to the help desk if you have any issues with your digital accounts, whether it's Wonders or anything else. Contact the help desk. Don't sit in frustration and not be able to log into things and not be able to use things correctly. We are here to help you. And finally, add this to your drive. If you type in this GU web address, it will take you to this slide presentation, and you too can have all of those links and reference all of those documents. We know that this is a lot in a little bit of time. We appreciate your time and attention. We appreciate you sharing your feedback with us so we can get better every year. And we appreciate you going with us on this journey. Please, please, please take the time to reach out with questions. We love to hear from you. We love to help. I'd be happy to come and sit down with your group. I'd be happy to email with you. I'd be happy to talk to you on the phone. So reach out, ask questions, and have a great year with your students.